Chinese, it is called 猪脚冻. In my dialect, which is Teochew, you usually call it tư kha tang. To me, it represents a dish where it reminds me of my family time. Because back in those days, whenever we have a special occasion, or in other words, my father Teochew or whatever, they would always bring us to zi cha. And one of the dishes that he introduced me when I was very young is 猪脚冻. The process of making a pork trotter jelly is very tedious. First thing that we need to do is actually put the pork together with some of the herbs and spices into a boiling water, preferably 5 to 8 hours. Another part of it is to get adequate fire, to get the consistency of the collagen, to ensure that all the extraction of the collagen will be out. Then with that, we will actually pour everything into a mold and mold them, keep it up for 2 days, and that's when we can actually start savouring it. Cooking transcends my family. My father decided to set up a stall at Whampoa Market selling kway chap and fish soup. Then my sisters started their own stall selling satay bee hoon and jiu eng chai. I started helping out my family when I was in primary 1, and one of the first things that my dad asked me to do is actually to help out collecting all the plates, collecting all the dishes. Then they started putting me to wash rice, to cooking rice, and a part of my stargate moment would be to be able to cook the fish soup broth. And despite no formal culinary training, they are still able to churn out great amazing food that is from the heart. And seeing them do all these things make me realize that the amount of hard work, the amount of dedication and the amount of effort that they put in to just such a simple stall really gives me a lot of motivation and at the same time values that I learn from them. At the age of 19, I decided to enroll myself into culinary school. I began to see another side of the culinary world that is different from what I see from the young. In other words, learning more about French cuisine. The importance of produce is something that I learned. Taking care of the produce, ensuring that it is cooked to its best flavors, and ultimately using it to the satisfaction of the customers as a young cook is something that is very important. Zhu jiao dong should always be called zhu jiao dong, no matter how modern the times are. I think I try to make sure that the dish is as traditional as possible, the way we cook it, the ingredient that is put in it as well. But the only thing that we try to make it even better, we introduce a French method that is called the consommé method, which we do a little bit of clarification to clarify the stock, to make it clear, to make it like a gao tang, but at the same time enhances the flavor itself. To me personally, I feel that 猪脚冻 represents a dish where it reminds me of my father, it reminds me of family time. My father is actually a very conventional Asian dad. Sharing their love or sharing the words of affirmation tend to be very little. The only thing that he actually portrays a lot through his love for us is through food. I still remember the times when my dad actually make it. It takes him about close to 2 days to make that dish. Seeing him cook and at the end of the day telling us, hey, come, I cooked this, something that you all like to eat. That itself just brings a lot of warmness. I mean, despite that I'm only like 12 years old, and that's why one of the main reasons that I actually wanted to put this in our menu is actually to remember the time that I have with my father itself. Recently, I went to a few places that I used to have the pork trotter jelly and to realize that they are no longer selling it anymore. It takes about 2 days to make this dish. The amount of effort, the amount of hard work, it's a very tedious affair. I can understand why people are no longer doing it anymore. I believe that in about 20 to 30 years time, this dish will definitely be lost. And one of the things that I really want to do is to actually let this dish not be forgotten and to let people try it and to tell them that, hey, do you know that this dish actually goes back a long way? To me, this dish means a lot because it means a lot about my heritage, and I want to play my part to maintain and to keep this traditional heritage dish alive.